Today, I'll be sharing how I consistently get 2 to 5x productivity increases with pretty much any software or knowledge work team. Now, this may challenge some pretty deep-rooted beliefs for some of you, but I hope that most of you have some aha moments and connect with these ideas. Now, the core of my success is that I embraced the fact that the more you manage skilled people, the less performance you get out of them. Now, unfortunately, most managers are expected to direct their teams on the product, the process, and the approach. And this idea of command and control management is rooted in ideas that were put in place hundreds and even thousands of years ago. But they destroy productivity and performance, and it's time for them to go. So let's explore why by asking a few simple questions. Number 1, are skilled people more productive when they have more ownership or less ownership? Number 2, are skilled people more productive when they have more restrictions or fewer restrictions? And number 3, are skilled people more productive when they're implementing someone else's ideas or their own ideas? See, traditional management takes ownership away by imposing restrictions and asking people to implement ideas that aren't their own. So it's literally doing the exact opposite of what makes people productive, and it makes it harder for them to succeed. Now, this causes people to disengage, which cascades into a plethora of other issues like increased turnover, loss of sales, and reduction in profits. Now, I've seen this proven over and over in my career. In one extreme example, a CEO that I was working with decided to put a mandate on his team to ship a new version of their product in 2 months. And he threatened the team's jobs and their work from home privileges. And by the way, this was years before COVID, and several people took this job because they could work from home. Now, as soon as I found out, I pushed back and started tracking productivity metrics daily. Want to guess what happened to productivity? It went to 0. The team was working harder for sure, but they were working so fast and frantically that they made mistakes and ended up creating as many bugs as they were fixing. The day that I convinced the CEO to lift the mandate, productivity immediately started to improve again. Now, I'll say it again. The more you manage skilled people, the less they produce. So to increase productivity, we have to eliminate command and control management and replace it with the idea that the manager's job is to set the team up for success, and it's the team's job and the team's responsibility to determine and implement the solutions. Now, to make that shift, there are 3 main things that I do with both managers and teams. The first thing is create desire. Now, people are driven by emotions, and the only way to get people to take action on anything is to get them to want to. Now, there are a lot of techniques to create desire. Some work better than others. In traditional management, pressure is the number 1 mechanism that people use. Managers tell teams that they need to hit the dates and that they need to push. They stress the importance of getting things done and tell people that they'll be held accountable. People take action in the short term, but only because they don't want the manager on their back anymore. Most people don't give a shit about the dates because the dates were either made up without any real driver or the team didn't have any input or both. Plus, hitting dates doesn't have any immediate or direct benefits for the team. So as soon as the manager stops applying pressure, people slow down again. Now, this makes life crappy for the manager and for the team members. It also makes managers believe that people are lazy and don't care, when in reality, it's the management technique itself that's causing the problem. Now, my favorite technique for creating desire is called the origami technique. I created it years ago when I had a team that was so defeated that they wouldn't even say a word in meetings. So all I do is ask 3 questions. Number 1, what is important to you? Now, just asking this question shows a level of caring and consideration for team members, which goes a long way on its own. And by asking people what motivates them, You don't have to be an expert at personality profiles like DISC, and you don't have to guess. The second question is, what does X look like? Now, X is whatever you want to achieve. So if I'm working with teams, I would typically ask, what does a high performance team look like? And if I'm working with managers, I would say, what does your ideal culture or your dream organization look like? The third question is, how would creating X help you achieve your personal goals? So how would creating that high performance team or that high performance culture help you achieve your personal goals? Now after that, I just ask them what they want to do. Okay, now I know that's 4 questions, but it is that easy. And there is zero command and control mentality in this approach. Now, by the way, I call this the origami technique for 2 reasons. First is because I started the meeting where I introduced it with 10 minutes of origami just to lighten the mood. And the second reason is that I realized what I'm doing is basically folding people's thoughts together to help them make these connections. Now, there are a very small number of people that don't say they want to become high performance, but it's always been because they don't think that they can achieve it because of the restrictions the organization places on them. Another strike for command and control management. Which leads me to the second key to success. Build an environment where it's easy to succeed. Again, there are many specific techniques here, but getting rid of that command and control mindset is basically building a new culture. Now, to build a new culture, you have to break away from the old one first. So that's literally what we do. We create a high-performance culture pilot. I like to call it a bubble of awesome. The pilot is given the authority to deviate from standard organizational rules and processes. And we make it exclusive because that eliminates most typical change management issues. And since it's a pilot, if for some weird reason it didn't work out, we could just end it, which makes the organization more likely to try. But so far, none of them have failed. Now, this approach allows us to stack the deck for success by building from the ground up. And once things are stable and have proven to be successful, then we make it permanent and begin moving people from the old organization to the new one. Now, before we get to that point though, we need to do the third thing, which is to give everyone a common foundation in regard to the ideology, structure, and processes. Now, this is actually part of creating the pilot, and it happens before people are allowed to join. Now, some agile frameworks are a great starting point, but they don't fill in all the gaps on their own, which is why so many companies struggle in adopting them. It's kind of like giving someone a box cake mix that says just add water when you actually need to add eggs and oil too. Now, the biggest gap is the expectation and guidance for managers. I've been through a lot of management and leadership training, and I have never found any single program that I would deem adequate for a true high-performance company. And that's why I'm working on the Ultra Leadership Program. Now, by the time you watch this video, hopefully it'll be live, because the only other option I would suggest would be to get some real experts in the field and create your own content. But if you do that, just make sure that whoever you bring in has proven results, not just years of experience. The other big gap is that most agile trainings don't create the desire and drive that you need for people to be successful. But I've found that once you create that initial desire with the origami technique, most people stay happy and motivated as long as they have an environment and they can thrive in it. And anything you do above and beyond that is just a bonus. Now, after these pieces are in place, it's just a matter of continuing to coach and guide the managers and teams while they get comfortable with the new culture, and then repeating that process as new people move over. Now, the initial pilot can be done in as little as 12 weeks, and it can be scaled to several hundred people or even more in just a matter of months. Now, at the end of the day, you have a new culture that is at least 2 to 5x more productive and that will continue to improve over time. Now, on a quick personal note, this is more than my job. It's my passion. And I truly believe that it makes the world a better place. So if you're thinking about implementing something like this at your organization, please get in touch with the contact information on my website, which is linked in the description, even if you're not going to hire a consultant. It's worth a few minutes of my time to help others be successful, because that's the best way for these ideas to spread. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.